everyone. Welcome to the RSSDI IJDDC podcast. And today I have two really sought after experts with me for a nice conversation, for a chat. Uh, we don't generally see them without a webinar or a conference or, a publication. And they are here exactly for the same, to talk about the latest AI publication in our IJDDC edition of April to June 2026, which is ready for all you RSSDI members to log in using your credentials on the website and access this absolutely free. So let me welcome Dr. Amit Kumar Dey and Dr. Shambo Samrajdar. Let me introduce Dr. Amit. He is a consultant physician in diabetology, obesity, and metabolic disorders from Kolkata, West Bengal. He has an experience of more than 15 years into clinical practice with diabetology as the primary subspecialty. He's the winner of the Diabetes Awareness Initiative Award of Diabetes India 2020, winner of many such awards. Importantly, he has really made great strides in the field of AI, and he represents us at the level of IDF as well globally. He's the advisory council member for ACP India chapter, also the chair of the International Diabetes Federation AI Technology Working Committee, and the founder of Doctors AI. He has many different facets, but I'm just going, this is to keep it short.
Thank you so much, Dr. Purvi. Thank you for the invitation.
And we have yet another very dynamic, consultant physician, diabetologist, and allergy asthma therapeutic specialty clinic director with us, Dr. Shambo Samrat Samajdar. Welcome, Dr. Shambo. He has several academic qualifications and fellowships, besides very widely published. He's a great orator, has several chapters in different national as well as international books, and in very well-indexed medical journals, he publishes very regularly. So without much ado, let me invite Dr. Shambo as well to join this.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
So good. I finally caught you both. And I'm thrilled to be talking to you all because, definitely it's been, people have tried to sort of go, very wary against it or accept it easily or, just neutral to it. But, you cannot ignore it for sure. So without much ado, let's talk about the new AI policy. Well, AI everywhere, but not a drop to spare. AI has percolated into our lives so much, it appears that the use of AI is completely inevitable. So research and publishing is not left behind, and it's right up there. But what are the risks that we are looking about? I can definitely feel the advantages, but what are the risks that we are looking at? Maybe we can start with Dr. Amit.
Yeah, thank you so much. Once again, big thank you to Dr. Rajiv sir and Dr. Purvi madam for the kind invitation to be part of this IJDDC podcast. So the risks, yes, we start saying this, that with great powers and great tools at hand, it comes with a lot of great responsibilities, right? So if we are using artificial intelligence, and when I say artificial intelligence, I'm categorically meaning generative artificial intelligence, which has the capability of creating content. If we are using it in an irresponsible manner, then starting from plagiarism to hallucination, to misinformation, and even a misguided sort of content can be created with artificial intelligence. So the risks are pretty big if we are using it in a undirected manner, in an unguided manner. But if we can streamline the use of it, if we can know how to use it and we use it in a responsible way, then we can probably take out the advantage and the best applications of it and use it to our benefit. And that's what the policy talks about.
Fantastic. So, how did this idea of the policy come about, Dr. Shambo?
Yeah, so actually, when we see a different type of papers, and as reviewers also for this esteemed journal of IJDDC, what we face sometimes, there is a possibility of confidentiality breaches. For an example, as a reviewer, if I am uploading certain unpublished manuscript, or as for an example, author, if we can upload certain patient-related data, even the reviewer comments, confidential editorial correspondence in different public AI tools. So what we are doing, we are actually compromising the privacy, intellectual property, and the integrity of whole peer review process. And on that background, we had a very good meeting during our RSSDI national conference at Kochi under the leadership of our editor-in-chief, Dr. Rajiv Chawla, sir, and his entire team was there. So we had came across one decision that we will publish one guidance document for authors, for reviewers, to actually increase the validity of our clinical research. And for that, we had actually employed a very interesting policy development and comparative synthesis method. So we know that IJDDC, it actually follows a standard that actually developed by aligning the framework with major international publication ethics and ethical guidance, be it ICMJE recommendation, the recent most recommendation in 2024 January, then the Springer Nature editorial process, Hope guidance document, and STM association, which is very specific for generative AI framework. We also had taken their recommendations, and we actually performed a comparative synthesis of AI policies from major publishers like Elsevier, like Wiley, like Sage Group, like Taylor and Francis, and also these were compared across 10 governance dimensions. Like you can see in this paper, we had talked about authorship, disclosure, image policy, reviewer restrictions, editor restrictions, confidentiality, and very importantly, the data fabrication. So actually we followed this method in a simply, if you just try to understand the flow of our process. First, we review the existing global guidance, then compare publisher policies, identify certain areas of consensus, then we develop practical IJDDC standards, checklist, templates, and investigation pathways. So this method we had followed.
Wow. So just to, kind of remind our audience again, this is the AI policy framework for authors, editors, and peer reviewers. The IJDDC standards for responsible use of artificial intelligence in scholarly publishing. This is really hot off the press. IJDDC, the International Journal of Diabetes in Developing Countries, which we all RSSDI members have free access to because of our membership with RSSDI, and this is the official journal of RSSDI. And the policy that we are talking about, which Dr. Amit and Dr. Shambo are describing, is a co-authorship with Dr. Rajiv Chawla, sir, our editor-in-chief, and this is up for discussion today. So thank you, Dr. Shambo, for that very insightful discussion into the methods also that have been used. And I'll direct my next question to Dr. Amit that, what are the key aspects that we are considering here for AI principles with respect to, what would be applicable to authors, editors, as well as peer reviewers?
So I'll just take a little step back and have a continuation from where Shambo ended. So one of the major reason of coming up with this kind of a guideline framework was left, right, and center, like you rightly said, people are using artificial intelligence. And the first thought flow that comes to our mind is, am I using it the right way? Am I supposed to use it at all? Or should I not have used it? So there was no ethical barrier. There was no clear-cut guideline to scholarly publishers across the country and across the globe, I would say. We have extrapolated, like Dr. Shambo said, that from the ICMG standards, which does give a very clear-cut guideline to the authors at what is to be done and what is not to be done. So one of the most important standpoint, which was published in 2024 by ICMG, is that AI cannot be an author. You cannot use a generative AI chatbot and you cannot use that as an accountable authorship in your article. You can use artificial intelligence and generative AI to create your manuscript, but it should also follow certain barriers and certain limitations and certain categories that you need to maintain. Now, for authors, there was still some clarity around from all the papers and all the comparative synthesis that we had drawn in. But little was often being said about how should an editor use artificial intelligence? Should they at all use it or not? How should a reviewer use artificial intelligence? Now, reviewing as itself, we know, is a task and it's a thankless job. And reviewing is something that has to be done by an individual out of academic interest, and it takes a lot of time. So artificial intelligence can easily solve that. You can put a paper into a LLM and it can give you an auto-generated review summary and it can copy paste it. So is that really what we want to do in terms of academic articles? So we are happy that we have this opportunity with our editor-in-chief to come up with this policy statement that sets the standards as to how much an author should use, how much an editor should use, and how much a reviewer should go about. So I think I'll just give you an overview about the authors, and then maybe we can take the discussions around the editors and the reviewers in the upcoming question. So the primary focus point for an author is you can use artificial intelligence to do your literature review. You can use it for extrapolating your review of the literature, for creating your research question in the form of PCOTs or whichever way you want to form it. When you're drafting the manuscript, it is very important that you will be the human checkpoint in the loop and not just copy paste from a generated content of a large language model. At the same time, copy pasting would also account for certain category of plagiarism beyond the plagiarism that we already know of in the field of medical literature publishing. Artificial intelligence cannot be the author. So whatever we create as an author is our work, whether we use AI or not. We are solely responsible and we are accountable for it. So there has to be an acknowledgement and a disclosure statement. Now, this is very important, Dr. Purvi, because people are using artificial intelligence to write, and they are not disclosing that they're using AI to write. Today, if we keep a statement that you have the freedom of disclosing of use of artificial intelligence, it automatically sets a guardrail and tells them that this is how much I should do. And it's not wrong to use it, but it's important that I disclose it. Now, what do I disclose it? I need to disclose what language model have I used. I need to disclose which version of it have I used and for what extent have I used. Now here there are two types of AI we look at. One is assistive AI and one is generative AI. Assistive AI is something which I've been using for quite a long time to make the grammatical changes, to correct the conversation tone, which has been always been used by professional writers earlier as well. And there's nothing wrong in doing that because it's not creating content. But the ethical question comes is when you're using generative AI to add new content or have some changes in your content. So if we are using generative AI as an author, or as an author, if I'm using the technology of generative AI, then I have to have it as a disclosure, and that should go down in my acknowledgement as well. Besides this, if I'm using AI to do any part of my methods, if I'm using AI to do any part of my analysis or results, I must disclose that as well. Ideally, AI generated figures should not be used, but if I'm using any kind of AI generated infographics or figures, then that should also be adequately disclosed. So this policy statement in a nutshell kind of tells people that you can use it, but you have to use it with the right sort of intention. And it's not cheating to use AI, but you're using it to refine your work, to provide better quality of work, and to bring out more research in a more compact and a more organized way. And you must disclose it for the readers and the peer reviewers.
Really the need of the hour. I think, Dr. Shambo, I think that was a very, very well explained, stance behind this document. And with both of you chiming in so well, let me ask Dr. Shambo, so what are the permitted and versus, prohibited uses of AI as such in, publishing?
So I think one thing we had already discussed, that the disclosure is very important. This word we need to remember, and especially as Dr. Amit had beautifully explained the difference between assistive AI and generative AI. For generative AI, we should have a stronger disclosure. So as you had mentioned, and we need to repeatedly telling that one point I just want to highlight before coming to your point, that reviewers, there is something called as confidentiality. Again and again, we need to protect the confidentiality of unpublished work, because blindly uploading them in the AI tool, we need to strongly prohibit that. Okay, so this thing we had repeatedly highlighted in this particular document. Now, as you were asking the roles of different stakeholders, right? So if we try to divide different stakeholders in three categories, maybe. One is authors, one is the editor, and another is peer reviewers. Now, first of all, there are 5 important principles in which we had throughout this paper, we had tried to strengthen that 5 principles. One is human accountability, that AI can assist but cannot take that responsibility. Next, another important part we had highlighted is that transparency. That means meaningful AI use must be disclosed clearly. So the disclosure part, what tool we are using, the purpose of using it, and which section in my manuscript categorically that being affected with this AI tool. Then the confidentiality, as we had repeatedly telling, the author identities, review reports, unpublished manuscript, institutional details, patient-related data must not be uploaded to certain public AI tools. Fourth important principle is the integrity. So if you talk about AI, AI must not be used to fabricate citations, manipulate data, or generate certain false claims, creating certain misleading images. And finally, the fifth principle for all is that the provenance, the origin of the AI-assisted text, analysis, image, or any output, that should be traceable and reproducible where relevant. So if you try to divide now role-wise for authors, it should be the disclose AI use, verify all AI-assisted content, avoid hallucinated citations. I think all of us know the very recent publication where
Yeah.
more than thousands of false or hallucinated citations we found. Remain accountable for manuscripts. So AI is not accountable. You are accountable as author. For editors, we need to ensure that AI policies are followed, protecting the confidential submissions, avoid using public AI tools for editorial decision making, and investigate certain suspected misuse. And for peer reviewers, it is important to maintain the confidentiality. Again, do not upload manuscripts in AI platforms. Do not delegate review judgment to AI. This is very important to note. Again and again, we need to highlight.
Absolutely, I think so, because
Yes.
with the repeated, invitations and burgeoning responsibilities, I see more and more reviewers turning towards it because, sometimes the comments we see, they are so clearly AI generated. I agree with you. And I think that's an important message because a lot of our
And also, we
RSPI
need to
members,
declare. We
yes,
need to declare that as a reviewer, I had used this AI platform in preparing, because it is not only the author who will declare, author will disclose. It is as peer reviewers, it is also our responsibility to declare if I am using anything. So this is very important from my side. It's this is what I want
So
to say.
what it does, Dr. Purvi, is this whole article and the whole thought flow behind this article shifts the responsibility towards the end user. Now you have technology at the forefront, which can solve a lot of problems and automate a lot of things which we have been doing manually for over maybe years and in the years of medical practice and scientific history. But if the technology is to be used in a fair way, the responsibility will have to lie with the end user. So in this case, the responsibility will lie with the editor, the responsibility will lie with the author, and the responsibility will lie with the reviewer with a checklist which they must sort of submit before submitting the or after submitting the article as to how fairly they have used the artificial intelligence, how much to what extent they have used. And this is precisely what this document outlines. And I believe that down the line, this could be a structure that could not just be adopted by our journal. And we are very proud and happy that under the leadership of our editor in chief, we have been able to come up with an article like this, which probably sets the standards for other journals to also follow, not just in India, but also in other parts of the globe. Because
I was just
it's,
going
yeah,
to compliment you on that, this has been, RSSDI is in fact taking a timely lead,
yes.
setting this policy standard so that many others can follow suit. Go ahead, you were saying something.
Yeah, no, so that's what I was saying. And at the end of the day, with this kind of checklist in place, what we strongly believe is an author, a reviewer, an editor will continue to use AI, but they would continue to do it now in a more responsible way because they have a declaration to make. And it also gives that important statement to them that, look, you're going to use it. It's not wrong to use it. Because earlier, what used to happen was there used to always be a school of thought saying, have you done this with AI? And then it's not right to do it with AI. It's never like that. You can use AI, but you have to use it in the right way. So these pointers, which Dr. Shambo just mentioned, if we follow some of these pointers and we use it in a responsible way, then possibly we are using the technology, but at the same time, we are not, crossing that guardrail.
I'm very curious, and I have to ask this. With AI use also, are you facing any plagiarism,
Yes.
kind of issues? Because this is a nightmare for us when we write it traditionally. But with AI, I would have thought that that completely gets eliminated, and I have not experienced this. But do you face this often?
Regarding the plagiarism, I want to highlight one thing. Plagiarism is something, generally, the plagiarism, the word, I think all of us know that it comes from the kidnap, the word kidnap. But if we are not acknowledging the original resource, not citing the appropriate references, then the plagiarism issues appear. So AI, there is one tendency. AI is something we can say it helps us in reducing plagiarism. If you check the plagiarism of AI generated manuscript, it comes very low percentage. But the thing is that if we not cite those claims in our manuscript, which had been prepared by with the help of AI, it will create problem. It will some good softwares are now available which can catch hold that even if our plagiarism percentage is low, but the AI content they will show very high. So that is why we need to disclose properly from where we had cited the claims. So that is, I think, important for all of us.
So just to add to this point, we need to all understand and acknowledge that any artificial intelligence tool, any large language model, no matter whatever we are talking about in the spectrum, it's GPT, it's Claude, it's Gemini, whatever is out there, it's not a truth engine. It's a fantastic search and thinking assistant. Having said that, if you're using a lot of artificial intelligence to write or create words and phrases, you will see that some words or some patterns of text are repeated in a commonly fashion. Now, this actually brings to that context that if without acknowledging the right citation of the original work, which Dr. Shambo mentioned, we are copy pasting that and putting it in our manuscript, you are literally going to be ending up doing an AI versus AI plagiarism, which means a person A using a similar context and a similar phrase, copy pasting it in their manuscript versus person B doing the same thing from that same language model will end up using that same context, that same phrase, and the same repetition of words in the same manner in two different manuscripts. But whereas if we act as the human check in the loop and we verify the source of that content and we look at the originality, we trace it back as a thinking engine behind the AI, and we try to modify the AI generated text into our own original work, extrapolating from what the AI information has given me, then it continues to be your work. It continues to be your ideas and eventually your words that go into the manuscript. So I think this is a very small barrier, a small fine line that we all must kind of learn while we are using AI to, do more writing work for us. Otherwise, we will end up doing that AI versus AI plagiarism in the days to come.
Fantastic, very well answered. And just a very quick word, any final thoughts from both of you, and some message to our RSSDI members who can actually access this journal for free using the credentials on the website.
Yeah, just one thing to highlight, because in this article we had given certain important templates also, declaration template that could be very easy for our potential authors. They can just follow that. For an example, the article gives a useful reviewer declaration template. As a reviewer, just we need to mention the language and clarity of this review were refined using certain AI tools. Just name that after completion of substantive peer review process. So the manuscript itself was not uploaded to any AI tool. I remain responsible for all recommendations and conclusion in this report. Just this disclosure. So I think this type of message is extremely important, as Dr. Amit and you also, Dr. Purvi Madam, you had also mentioned that reviewers may use AI for language refinement, but not for confidential manuscript processing, and very importantly for scientific judgment. So I think this paper is would be very useful for all of our readers, because we had mentioned, we had tried to tell the audience as how we can use artificial intelligence in a responsible manner. So that was what I want to highlight.
Great.
Yeah, and yeah, just to add to that, I'll just leave everybody with this thought. And I think even a year back, we used to ask this question that should we use AI or not? So now I think we are beyond that question, and we should now actually ask the right question, that are we really using artificial intelligence in a responsible way, in a transparent way, and in the right creative way? And this paper, this kind of a policy statement, should open up that thinking gap amongst our readers, amongst our members, amongst our editors, and all our peer members. Because at the end of the day, we are looking at this technology to amplify our intelligence. We call it augmented intelligence, right? It should not replace our integrity. We never wanted to replace our integrity. So now with this paper in place, and with our entire community having access to read this, we hope that our community members will read it with an open mind. We would love to hear critics, ideas, and newer viewpoints also coming in from our peer group members. But at the end of the day, artificial intelligence is here to stay. It's here to make our work easy, and we must go around, evolving around using it in a more responsible way. I hope this takes that message down to them and to all of our peer members. And I hope we, as authors, as editors, as reviewers, as editor-in-chiefs and associate editors, also evolve with this technology around it.
Absolutely. Great thoughts shared by both of you. And I think it's very timely because everybody has warmed up to the use of AI. And it's just time that we use it responsibly. So I congratulate RSSDI in taking this lead. And a big thank you to Dr. Rajiv Chawla, sir, also for taking this initiative, also giving us all this platform, and for both of you to have put this all together after reviewing such, after this exhaustive exercise that you explained. I think it's really definitely worth a read, and definitely worth a reference point for all of us to work with. So thank you again, Dr. Amit and Dr. Shambo, for sparing time for RSSDI IJDDC. I know both of you are so heavily involved in the research endeavors of RSSDI, and congratulations once again on this publication. Hope more and more viewers take great advantage of the fact that RSSDI members get this access for free. So read on and stay in touch. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you
so much.
once again.